Hello and welcome to today's video, and today I will be talking about why Alton Towers needs to invest in some more permanent flat rides. And I don't mean like things like the Retro Squad rides, which are like temporary fairground rides that are rented from showmans. I mean like actual like genuinely permanently installed, constructed and ideally heavily themed flat rides. Now, in case you don't know what's going on, basically over the last few years Alton Towers have basically been cutting back on their lineup of flat rides, and even though obviously in the last couple of years they've had the Retro Squad, those are only like temporary fairground rides, and those are only temporary. So it's rumored that this is actually the final season of the Retro Squad. But obviously these were originally added to the park just to like fill in the queues, because in 2021, which is when they first added, COVID restrictions were really a lot more strict back then. In fact, basically, because at the start of the season of that year, certain attractions couldn't open, like all the indoor attractions and things like that. So they had to do something to like fill in the queues or something like that. So then they added the Retro Squad, which was a collection of free temporary flat rides from various which are rented from various different fairgrounds. And obviously they've gotten mixed reception since they were first added in. A lot of people really like them because they're like really cool attractions, because of how they've actually got like a themed storyline, which is really cool considering they're only temporary attractions and they're not going to be here forever. Because I really like how Alton Towers have actually given it a storyline about how these robots that have basically come to Earth to add new attractions to Alton Towers, new thrilling rides as they play. Obviously some people don't like it because of how these fairground attractions kind of take away from the immersive feel of Alton Towers. Now me, I'm kind of in the middle of this. I do like them because of they add a lot more to the ride lineup and like the theme as well. But I'm also kind of like have a problem because I mean they're obviously well and good after like maybe 1 or 2 seasons, but the Retro Squad has entered its 3rd season now. And their latest edition, Twistertron, is kind of a weak addition to the Retro Squad lineup. So far, my favourite Retro Squad ride was Mixtape, and that hasn't been in the park since the 2021 season. Now obviously they've added other ones along the way, such as like Spin Jam, which is very intense by the way, which is surprising. I found it obviously had things like Roller Disco and Funk and Fly, and now Twistertron, which replaced Enterprise. This Twistertron is supposedly like a bit like a smaller version of Enterprise that actually the base of the ride itself spins as well as the actual wheel, so it's spinning in like 2 different axes. But the actual ride itself, it's kind of forceless a little bit. It's a lot better than it is to watch than it is to ride. So while the Retro Squad rides are a good ride lineup, there's only so long it can go on for before it starts thinking. People start wanting more permanent flat rides. And back to what I was saying earlier, over the last few years Alton Towers have been kind of cutting back on their permanent flat ride lineup. They've gotten rid of Enterprise, which was the most recent flat ride to be removed. The Blade has been kind of hit and miss. Well, I say hit and miss, but like a couple of years ago we thought it was going to be permanently removed because it was taken down for maintenance, and it's still there thankfully. As well as that, they've gotten rid of Ripsaw, Twirling Toadstools. They've gotten rid of like various other attractions as well. There's a lot of flat rides that used to be at Alton Towers that are now gone. And a lot of people just want it. They also got rid of Submission a few years ago, back in 2013, which was another major flat ride at the park. So Alton Towers, it's rumoured that the Retro Squad contract is going to be ending this season. It's kind of hinted at in the marketing of Twistertron, saying that they're coming to destroy the Retro Squad. So if it is the final year of the Retro Squad, unless Alton Towers plan on investing some new flat rides maybe next season, then they really need to like start now thinking of like what flat rides can we add to the park to fill up the lineup. Because at the moment the main flat rides are the Retro Squad. Obviously, the main flat rides are the Retro Squad, and the only major permanent flat ride is the Blade. And I say major flat ride because the only other sort of flat rides in the park are like little kiddie flat rides like Heave Ho, Marauders Mayhem. Those are good attractions, but they're not like massive like highlights of the park lineup. Now what what kind of flat ride could they add next? I'm thinking they could add something along the lines of a Zamperla Nebulas, and that would obviously be a really cool attraction to add, hopefully, fingers crossed, in X Sector where Enterprise used to be. That's what I'm thinking they could add. They could add like a Ministry of Joy, like the Smiler theme to it, because obviously that would fit so well in that area. It would just be absolutely amazing to see. I know obviously Drayton Manor, which is not far from Alton Towers, got a Zamperla Nebula last year with Loki in the new Vikings area. But if Alton Towers did it, and they themed it well, it would be very successful for them. And obviously, because Alton Towers are getting a lot of investments in future seasons with like the Nemesis refurbishment, Project Horizon, Curse of Alton Manor, which opens earlier this season, which is a really great dark ride, which is obviously a transformation of what was once kind of a mediocre dark ride. If they invested in like some new flat rides, that would be brilliant. The lineup would be fantastic by the end of this decade. But I have also asked some of you guys your opinions as to what you think that the next Alton Towers flat ride could be. And I did this because by going onto Facebook and creating a post asking what you think the next Alton Towers major permanent flat ride could be, and I've got quite a few different opinions. So starting with Elizabeth, who has said, I'd love to see a big drop tower and something similar to Rush at Fort Park. Now obviously Rush at Fort Park is like an SNES Screaming Swing. That would be really cool at Alton Towers to see. It could be like a really great attraction in like an area like Dark Forest. It could be themed to like a haunted tree type thing. I mean, they've kind of already done that with Hex with a haunted tree theme, but this could be like a very different thing. Maybe like a tree possessed by a demon, I don't know, it's just a very strange idea. We've also got Dan, who said, I'd love to see a Mondial Diablo, the small inverted version of the Inferno model, and a Moses speed flip. The Diablo would be a great fit for X Sector and the speed flip in the grave of Ripsaw. Now that sounds really interesting. I don't think we've ever seen these kinds of flat rides in Alton Towers, but if we did, I think it would be really cool to see. And finally we have Paul, who says, the Zamperla Nebulas could work nicely as a replacement for Enterprise. Ministry of Joy theming would suit the trippy aesthetic. The Screaming Swing would be nice at the park too. Yeah, obviously like I said before, Zamperla Nebulas would be perfect in X Sector, and a Screaming Swing would definitely fit the park well. Obviously they'd have to dig it in the ground, same with the big drop tower. But I know with a lot of the recent attractions from like Merlin Magic Making and how like the heavy theming they've got on it, then I know if they did a flat ride now, it would be really fantastic for the park. It'd probably be very successful and drawing lots of visitors, a lot more visitors per year to Alton Towers, and that would just be fantastic. It'd make the lineup a lot more broader than like roller coasters or dark rides, which is sort of the main lineup we've got. And so that because in terms of water rides and flat rides, water rides there's only 2 left. River Rapids is a bit like a lazy river now because there's no waterfalls on, and Battle Galleons gets you too wet. As for flat rides, obviously the 2 main ones are the Retro Squad and Blade. So if they added a brand new permanent flat ride in, that would be brilliant. So I want to thank you all very much for watching this video, and if you enjoyed it then please make sure to like and subscribe, and comment if you'd like to see in the next video. Bye!